So over here on the NA side of things, we're currently enjoying a lottery, but that doesn't mean you can't get prepared for the next big event coming to the NA side of things, because it is about that time of the month where I have to let you know about upcoming events to the NA side of the game for the month of May. And I think it's going to be a pretty good month. I mean, this lotto should ride out into the first couple of weeks of May, and then we start getting into some new, I guess, exciting events if you enjoy reading the story. And then there will also just be a bunch of banners and stuff getting ready for anniversary as we creep ever closely to that all-important anniversary, which for some people like me, I'm getting mad anxiety thinking about that Morgan that I'm going to have to NP5. But hey, that's a bridge I will cross when we get there, as that is not going to be in the next month of events and whatnot, spoiler alert. As per usual, if you like being informed on all things going on with both versions of FGO, make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so that you are always informed on the goings-on of both versions of the game. That being said, we have a little bit to get into for this video, so let's just stop yapping and hop right into this. So obviously we have the lottery. This is going to run for about the next week or two, and it will carry us into the month of May. We also should be getting Advanced Quest Part 15, probably like next week. I would assume they were just going to drop that in the middle of the lottery event that we have going on, but I covered that in last month's, monthly coverage video, so if you want to find out what's the deal with all of that stuff, either watch the event guide or watch that part of the video to find out what's going on for Advanced Quest Part 15. Don't worry, whenever it does officially drop, I'll drop some guides on how to actually clear it. But then after that, we have some very exciting changes happening to the game. We're finally going to be getting the prelude for Ordeal Call 1, and that's actually going to be dropping in this month. And this starts off with the Bleached Earth officially dropping on the game. If you don't know why this is a big deal, this brings not only the class scoring system, but some new free quests into the game as well. And these free quests are much less of a hassle to try to farm because they give you more bond. There is a QP stage if you're tired of farming dailies. I mean, if you just want to get some statues and monuments instead of having to go through this 3-turn ordeal, you just waltz on some big 1 million HP enemy, bop him once, and then get your couple of statues and go on with your day. They're generally easier to farm or less of a hassle to farm in my experience because there are some free quests that are a little obnoxious to do, but the bond reward is always really nice, especially since we do know about the Grand Servant buff that the JP side of the game is going to be getting. And so knowing about needing to bond up your characters to bond 10 if you want to make them your Grand Servant means you can get a very early start on getting that done. Now, these are limited to only about 9 runs a day because you have to use these Storm Pod items to actually get into some of these free quests, but often these will also go on AP cooldown, meaning that they're about half AP. So you can do, like, say, a QP run for only 20 AP instead of the 40 AP that is normally going to be available for your dailies. Or if you just need specifically one statue or monument, you can do that for half AP than the normal daily quest. It's really, really nice. It's very convenient. The class scoring system also comes out, where I would advise you to pick out a class that you specifically want to build out, because this is going to be fairly resource intensive. Not only is it going to require QP, but it's going to require regular mats as well as new mats introduced for the class scoring system that you get from doing Bleached Earth missions and Bleached Earth challenge quests. But do not neglect doing this, as there will be Saint Quartz available. I believe it's every 10 nodes that you unlock on the class scoring system, you get 3 Saint Quartz, which is something that I use during my low-high summons to try to get a fat stack of Saint Quartz. So it is something that you can use to get some additional quartz if you are just building it up in the background. And again, you can always just throw mats that you're not going to be using into it to buff up a class of your choosing. But that is a very nice little quality of life thing, I would say. It's not the most hype thing innately, but it will just make your life easier as you're going through and playing the game. Then we are getting a very, very hype rerun for the prelude for Paper Moon, otherwise known as Ordeal Call 1. Your eyes and ears do not deceive you. Nidokris Altar, and more importantly for most players, Kukulkan will be coming back very shortly after her initial banner at the beginning of this year. And pretty much everything I said about Kukulkan in her initial video a couple of months ago is still true to this day. I mean, nothing really changed in 4 months. She's still absolutely crazy. She's still nutty dummy broken. She's still ridiculously good. Nidokris Altar is still a very strong servant, although probably not as good as Kukulkan, probably not even close. So if you are going for a meta strong servant, you just want to go for Kukulkan. And hey, it really helps that she's also really cute as well. But I don't want to put down my girl Nidokris Altar over there. I think, she's also pretty cute as well. I think she's also deserving of summon, but unfortunately, Nidokris Altar is available on every single banner, so you could just cop her with the free 5-star ticket, or get lucky and pull her when pulling for any other character in the game. Kukulkan is definitely the priority as a limited character that also happens to be probably the best Buster AoE servant in the game at the moment. So if you were planning on summoning for any of the Ordeal Call 1 servants, Anniversary, or the Summer banners, you might have to factor this into your Saint Quartz calculator or plans that you have have going on. You know, use this time to kind of plan for that accordingly if you did not know that she was going to be getting another raid up. But then we actually move into Paper Moon's release proper. Now, Paper Moon is not a very hard story chapter, I will say, just for people that are worried about the difficulty curve for this. I will just say the difficulty spike, I guess if you want to call it that, is that the enemies just are a bit beefier going into this. And there are some fights where like an enemy might have a 1 million HP break bar, and then you're like, okay, well normally I break the bar and then they let me move on. But then they're like, no, you actually have to beat both break bars of this enemy. You just have to down this really, really large guy, which isn't particularly hard. It just means that for some players, you might be in some of these fights for longer than expected. I won't spoil who the final boss is of Paper Moon for people that want to actually go through and read it themselves, but it's not particularly hard. If you've cleared all of the other story chapters to get up to this point, this will be something that you are able to clear at a worst case scenario by using your daily command spells that now reset every single day, which is nice. But it's not like you're going to be going in here, pulling your hair out and being like, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. It's definitely more of a story-driven experience that has more beefy enemies for you to fight than it does more difficult enemies for you to fight. But I think it was rather enjoyable to go through and didn't really have any particular notable bosses that did stick out to me. But this is bringing 3 summoning campaigns. The first one is going to be the guy on the cover of Paper Moon itself, Bhima and Duryodhana. Now, Bhima I think is really, really strong as a single target, effective version of Arash, having a power mod on everything in the game, provided that you get him to overcharge 2 or higher. So he can do really big damage numbers, and it's just generally good for all boss fights. He's pretty much got a very good blanketed generic hit that if you're looking for a guy that can just down bosses, down enemies, or maybe even use them in a 90++ node where you know that you're going to be using other overcharge servants, maybe you're going to be doing a multi-core where you have, say, Proto Merlin around who just gives free overcharge to everybody, this guy can be good for those scenarios. I don't think he's worth summoning for, provided the other characters that are coming out around him, but if you do want to go for him, he is a strong servant overall. Duryodhana is basically how I've been calling him, just a 4-star version of Summer Ibuki, where he effectively is going to be doing the same things, just not nearly as good. He doesn't have the power mods, doesn't have the big battery, and doesn't do as much damage, but hey, he's pretty good if you do not have someone like Summer Ibuki on your box. He can be a very strong arts AoE looper because he's a berserker, but you can effectively use him anywhere, and he is going to be on both of the main banners, which is extremely helpful. There is a side banner for this one where Kama is going to be returning, and now knowing that she has a big old buff on the JP side of things, this does make her a bit more enticing. I mean, she already is really good as is right now. They really built this character to last when they actually made her. So she's obviously going to be really good if you do want to go for her. And I mean, all my Sakura face enjoyers are probably going to be summoning on her anyway, but she does have that added benefit of being even better as time goes on. But you could always wait to summon for her when she comes back around, because they do just love to throw Kama around every 2.5 seconds because, well, they know she's a moneymaker. They know people are going to be summoning for their big busty version of a Hindu goddess. Now, moving into the final banner is going to be Durga with Duryodhana. Now, Durga is a character that I really like. I think she is built in a very, very nice way for the arts meta, with giving the overcharge buff, having the big battery, being able to loot fairly well, and having decent damage and some pretty nifty power mods. The Sky Attribute one I think is very, very useful because, as you guys might be knowing, we are running into a lot of Sky Attribute enemies on these 90++ nodes, and not having guys to actually take those guys out can be rather annoying. But I would also say that, like Bhima, I don't think she is particularly worth going for, considering in context the other characters that are going to be coming out around her. But if you are a Sakura face enjoyer and you do pull for Durga, she will be an excellent addition to your account. Obviously, wait in the future when I actually drop the videos going into more details on these characters, but they're both good, just probably not worth summoning for given the other characters that are coming out around them. Speaking of other characters coming out around them, we have the 28 million download campaign, or at least it was the 28 million download campaign on the JP side of things. This one is going to be focusing around Ruler Artoria, who again is a very interesting character because, one, not only is this one of my favorite characters in all of FGO, so I'm just going to go to bat for them, but they do get a buff later on in the future that makes them quite a bit better. It takes them from being someone that doesn't really do buster farming particularly well to being one of the better options to use if you do have them available. Although, with the context of Kukulkan coming out before her, if you need a buster AoE character and you don't really care what they look like or who they are, Kukulkan is always going to be the better option to go for. But there is also a couple of other servants returning with her, first and foremost being Maid Alter with XX being on her banner. This isn't too bad. It's kind of just like the characters that don't really refund and do a whole lot of damage after their first NP banner. They both just hit really hard initially and then kind of wait around for their skills and stuff to come back up. But they are both saber faces, so that might entice you to actually pull on this banner a bit. Neither of them are particularly bad, but I don't think either are so meta-definingly broken that you need to go summon for either one of them. But hey, if you're a fan of Salter, or you want to collect the final, XX that you need, your final saber face to complete your Infinity Gauntlet, not a bad banner to go on. I mean, again, I would advise you to not summon on it, but there could be worse banners for you to blow your Saint Quartz on. Like this third banner over here, because while I do think Squirtoria and Mordred Rider over here are very good at arts looping, they're kind of behind on the times when it comes for what you would want an arts character to have. I mean, Squirtoria's base kit is pretty good in the way that she's really good at just firing her NP every single turn consecutively. Think along the lines of somebody like Melusine. But for Squirtoria over here, her NP lowers the enemy's NP charge, so effectively you can get in a situation where the enemy is never able to fire their NP, which is pretty good. It's just her damage could definitely be better. No like power mods or anything is a little bit rough. She will be getting a buff in the future here if you're really going to want to build out this character. Like, I'm going to NP5 them. They get a little bit of a battery, so if you want to use them for 90++ multi-core farming and you really do build this character out, I guess they could have some use case in that. Same thing for Mordred Rider. They could be one of your main arts loopers, but you do need to get this character duped out with NPs because their natural damage is not very good. They really do need to have additional copies put into them if you want them to perform rather well as an arts looper. But as far as looping is concerned, they can both loop all over the place. Would advise against summoning for them because, again, we have better characters coming out. You guys know the whole shtick about that right now, but if you like your sabers, go ahead and summon for them. I will probably also drop a multi or two on the Squirtoria banner because I've been chasing that character since the freaking first year of the game and have not gotten her. And my Mordred Rider could always use dupes as a consolation prize. And do also note that we will be getting 30 Saint Quartz if you actually log in all 10 days in a row during this event. So do not miss a day whenever this does initially drop. Make sure you get those 30 Saint Quartz, if not for the initial summoning banners right here, but for the upcoming banners that will be coming out. Now, the JP side of things did get a Strange Fate campaign, which the main thing that this brings is that you can do interludes for characters that you don't have, which is really good if you do not have some of those missions done for doing the interludes. Every 10 interludes you do, you get 10 Saint Quartz. Not only do you get 2 from doing Gilgamesh's first interlude, but you also get 2 from doing Enkidu's first interlude, and then that is 5 interludes total as well. So if you're close on one of those missions, this will bump you up for that, and that's 10 additional Saint Quartz. We also get a pretty cool CE featuring the boy Richard, but aside from that, nothing too meta-definingly broken. And then finally, we should be seeing Advanced Quest Part 16, which is kind of a weird, gimmicky one. It revolves around kind of not actually beating the opponents on this one, but actually doing things to the enemies around them to actually get a clear on the fight. Like for the Spriggans, you need to be using quick and arts cards specifically whenever they ask you to do those. And if you do that, you will kind of just like automatically beat these guys up. They will be like, all right, cool, you showed us all of your quick moves, you showed us all of your arts moves, here's your big fat dub. Same thing for the Dino Mommy quest. Basically, you just need to give her different buffs to essentially take care of her. There's really no other way to get around it. It is like you're brushing her teeth, you're painting her nails, you're kind of just taking care of her. It's a really cute challenge quest, and once you do that, you'll be able to get through no huss, no fuss. Same thing for the Babbage one. You have to kind of revolve around the two hands that he's got next to him to kind of maintain what level he's at. But this one, you can actually beat him up, I believe, if you want to, because there's no like super crazy buffs that he's doing initially. If you can do 2 million damage, you can just send this guy into the stratosphere and deal with him accordingly. But that is pretty much everything we're going to be getting for the month of May. A lot of just little neat events that are coming back around. A lot of very cool characters are getting reruns on their banners, which I really do like. But essentially, for most players, it is going to be do Ordeal Call and then just coast through until the anniversary. Because the month after, if we do get the tower event towards the end of this month, I don't think they would run that a bit early, because there's really no reason for them to do something like that. But hey, if they do, that'd be pretty cool. That gets us one step closer to finally being maybe only a year behind the JP side of things, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. So it's probably just going to be these events. So let me know what you're looking forward to in the comment section down below. Let me know what banners you're planning on summoning on, if any, during the month of May. And with all that being said, I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace, light, guys.